Hey friends, welcome to this video. Things are slowly starting to move a bit here again. We've been rising nicely over the past few days. Chainlink has risen by 36%. Casper has risen by 70%. And Bittensaw has even risen by over 100% since the low. And now, of course, we ask ourselves the question, was this our bottom for now? Can we rise reasonably from here? From a technical chart perspective, I already mentioned in yesterday's video, if we stay above $87,000, we should actually have the chance to go steeper. And that actually looks quite good so far. We are currently holding up pretty well here, and it depends on how things look in the coming days. But in itself, this could definitely have been our bottom for now, because we are now also slowly seeing an increase in the M2 money supply. Sure, you've seen that quite often now, but this won't be a typical video either. Back to the M2 supply. There are enough of those by now. But we see that when the M2 money supply increases, the rest naturally increases as well. And I believe this year will not only be a good year for cryptocurrencies, because of the 4-year cycles, but also economically speaking. There are simply periods here that also apply to stocks, or rather, align with the entire economy. We have good and bad years. Here, we see we really had the bear market until around 2023. And here we should then have the bull run until approximately 2026. And we are currently within this time frame. This time frame is also determined due to macro data, because macro-technically, we also have debts that need to be settled. For example, back then, under Donald Trump, we saw a massive expansion of money, which partly saved our economy. During the corona crisis, such a massive expansion of money is also great for cryptos, stocks, gold. It would of course be interesting if we were to see so much money again now, because fundamentally, the expansion of money plays a huge role in our markets. And the period we are entering now is also related to the fact that this year we have to refinance over $9.3 trillion in the USA. This is the largest refinancing ever. Never before has the USA had to take on so much new debt in a single year. And when they take on this new debt, they will start printing money. This will propel us in this bull run here. Or rather, we can already see that the M2 money supply is increasing significantly in the Eurozone, but also slowly in the USA. This is exactly what we need. This propels us, and I believe that this is why we have seen a slow rise in Bitcoin. But I also believe that this is just the beginning for the M2 money supply. I can't imagine that we will stop this in the next few days. We have too much to refinance this year, and that's why this year should be a good year. For cryptos and stocks until 2026. Just looking at the time periods, it should be that way. I mean, currently, Bitcoin is still considered a risk asset. The Japanese yen has become extremely strong in recent months. That has also brought us back into this risk situation. As a result, people were not so risk averse. And the Japanese yen is now truly the most relevant chart against the dollar. So a lot now depends on the Japanese yen. If we break through this resistance zone downwards, then people will definitely finally get back. More risk tolerant. Otherwise, we also simply see that there is currently hardly any interest in cryptos again. We are now almost as low as during the FTX crash. So it's quite intense how low we currently stand again. We simply have hardly any retail, hardly any interest, and especially no venture capital for the altcoins, but not really for Bitcoin either at the moment. This is naturally also because people are currently fleeing to bonds and leaving the stock market. That is also the reason why gold is currently rising so extremely. Absolutely crazy how gold is rising. But if we also see a trend reversal here, it could also indicate that we might see a rise in the crypto market. Because in the past, it was sometimes really the case that when we dropped in gold, we still had a nice rally in Bitcoin. A nice final rally. Of course, it's not always like that, but I believe it could be the case again currently. If we drop here initially, a lot of gold could be shifted into the crypto market. Because even now, in recent days, we've seen $1.5 trillion flow out of the stock market and $60 billion added to the crypto market. It's not the world, but in relation, that's very good. Because normally when the stock market falls, the crypto market falls even more significantly. Fortunately, we are currently out of those times. The good thing is, due to the high debts of the USA, we simply know that they will have to refinance this year one way or another. That brings us new gold into the markets. I also told you, I don't want to make another video about the M2 gold supply, but let's just look at this in relation again. Take a look. When we peaked here, we also had the peak here. When we set the double top here again, we also set the double top here again. The correlation is identical. Really fell here, fell here. Now it gets interesting to see how it continues. But here one also looks at the Japanese yen, and then you also see that we correlate very strongly here. Here we also peaked similarly, got a bit of strength here again, also got a bit stronger here again. Here we completely crashed, and here we also slipped from the crypto market into the stock market. And here, at the lowest point of the M2 supply, we essentially established our Bitcoin bottom. And from this, you can already see what kind of economic situation we are in, because these data here are not just randomly generated. The economy operates similarly in most countries at the same time, The Euro M2 supply runs almost the same as the Japanese yen supply, except that we are currently running a bit stronger. It will also be very interesting here when we first get a substantial amount of capital from the Japanese back into the markets. Currently it's slowly starting again, but it would be bad if we went deeper here again. But here we have already taken the right direction. And of course the M2 supply from the USA is very interesting. And here it is, look at this. It shows that we had a huge increase in the last few years. Now we are slowly building up again, which is very, very important. The Japanese M2 supply and the US M2 supply are the most important. Overall, however, it looks nice. Overall, we are slowly rising again here. Global liquidity is at a peak. And that's why we're also slowly correlating with Bitcoin, as we are slowly rising in the crypto market as well. It is simply a fact that we are slowly getting new capital into the markets here. Probably also the reason why we are seeing increasingly larger purchases from the rails. Look at that, the rails are buying. Currently, they are slowly buying in really nicely again, not quite at peak levels yet, but the rails are buying Bitcoin significantly because they know very well. Soon, we will be following the M2 gold. And that will also have a positive impact on the crypto market. And whether that's in 2 or 3 weeks, it almost doesn't matter. The next few months actually look good. There are always risks, but there's no need to paint the devil on the wall here. Paint. We are slowly getting fresh capital into the markets, and that's the most important thing. On the heat map, we don't have that many gaps up here anymore, so we could slowly but surely pick up certain zones here and break out properly. It would be nice if we could start doing that now. Otherwise, friends, I hope you enjoyed the video. As always, leave a like and a comment, and see you next time, friends. Bye.